Well, we started out with changing our water line. You know, I had it down here a little bit, and I needed to establish it, of course. And it was too close, you know, it didn't seem like it was going way off into the distance. So I raised it a little bit. It's likely that where the water meets the sky, the water will actually be a higher value than the sky. But I'm not concerned with the water right now. This from here down is turpentine. From here up, I've begun to use linseed oil. We have cobalt blue, a bit of yellow ochre, and some titanium white on the very bottom. As I'm moving up, well, you can see I've revisited the same colors here, but a little higher value in general. Here I just stopped adding yellow ochre to my pile and just went straight cobalt blue, you know, just to give it some variety. As you can see, I'm allowing bits of the wash-in to show through that stronger blue. So, you know, looking at the sky, if there's any cloud in it, it's kind of like a ceiling. There's a lot of foreshortening that goes on. So I'm going to paint the sky in this painting very much like I would a prairie sky, a big sky. I'm going to direct some of the brush strokes, as I have with the wash-in. The brush strokes will begin to head up in certain directions, and they'll go multi-directional. But for the time being, for the sake of foreshortening, for the sake of giving it a sense of distance, my brush strokes are pretty much all horizontal-ish. Now, even though the brush strokes are horizontal, the design that I'm laying them into is still going up, right? So we're kind of on the cusp now where I'm likely going to start bumping a little bit. I'm going to change it a little bit. Maybe not so much over here, but as we come up here, I'm going to start sweeping up a little. So let's get into more cobalt blue. We're going to ignore that cobalt blue, a little titanium white, a little linseed oil. Yeah, okay. You know, we want variety. We want things broken up a little bit. Going a little darker here towards the edge of the painting. You know, that darkness indicates that there's less cloud. We're beginning to look through to into the distance a bit. If I were to continue with these lines all the way up the painting, it would become a very, well, if you're looking up close, it would become quite a busy painting, but that's not going to be how it goes. Too much direct white there. While my easel gently clatters. Who sings that? While my guitar softly sings. Anyway, it's not my guitar. It was just sitting in my car. I don't know where it came from, officer. Sorry. Bad jokes. Just bad jokes. You can always count on me for lame, bad jokes. Okay, I think we'll end that streak. I'm liking this gently counterbalancing this. Let me add a little more white to this, and a little more oil. That is okay. If our light's coming from the left, in this case we'll allow the light to show on the clouds coming from the left as well. Just a bit for now. Because I'm using linseed oil, I can change the thing like crazy. I'm going to go back into, no, I'm not going to add much yellow ochre to it. I'm going to go back to cobalt blue. And more cobalt blue. And enough white there. Just the cobalt blue and white is a very cold blue. But that's okay, it's been pretty warm down here. I think I'll reserve that for more highlights. What I'm going to do is, okay, I will touch yellow ochre. Not much of it though. Cobalt blue. Straight cobalt blue. And I'm going to touch, actually that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little bit of alizarin crimson. But I guess I should put some on my palette first. Because it is cold. Let's instead of going towards the more of the greens with yellow ochre, let's go slightly more towards the warmer purples. Now, it's sort of a precursor. As we work our way up, we're going to get into ultramarine blue, which already as a color leans towards the purples as opposed, or leans towards the reds as opposed to the greens. Okay, I guess you can see over here. Can you? Yeah, just barely. I've taken some of this color, and while I was at it, I laid it in here as well. I want it to fade off as we go off to the left. We're going to get more into these types of blues, which are a combination of cobalt blue and ultramarine blue. But we've come up against a building here, so let's sort this out. This roof I felt needed a little more character to it. So let's put that dip in there. And while we have exactly that color mixed up, because I'm lazy, I'm going to lay a stroke of it over here as well. It's very close to what I already have, but very close isn't quite close enough. You know, you can look at a color, you can match it, but if you've already got something laid on the painting directly adjacent to where you're going to have to match it to, it's just that much easier. It's a time saver. It's a perfect thing for a lazy guy like me. Okay, see how this looks just a little bit, I wouldn't call it dirtier, but it's almost more of a mauve than such a strong blue. more cobalt blue, and a hint more alizarin crimson. And a little more white, and a little bit of linseed oil. The most delicious cake Grandma ever made. Keep those strokes varied. Don't just mix the heck out of your pile on the palette and then start covering ground, because if you do that, you may as well paint with a roller. It's not very painterly. It's not very painterly to do that sort of thing. Okay, that needs a break. I don't want this line to be too long. Actually, I don't even want it to be too much of a line. A little too strong. I like a few lines, a bit of variety, but I don't want it strong. Okay. This might be a little bit too much. Looks like it's got two blobs sitting directly over that little pump shack. There. Now there's just one blob over the pump shack. Okay. What's that? That's too light. I'm gonna go fade to dark a little bit on that end. So rather than doing that right now, how about if I were to mix a little more ultramarine blue with my yellow ochre? No. With my ultramarine blue and cobalt blue. Staying with the higher values, just changing the hue. That's too purple, I'll bet you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with it. It's a little dark, that's fine. If I go too light, it's much harder to get rid of. Even if it's just a bit of an interruption, that's fine. That's all we care about. I want to maintain this look a little bit coming up without getting too cocky about it. Ooh, I touched the yellow ochre. That might not be good. Ah, so what? It's variety. Okay, let's switch our brushes again. I think I'd like to cut into the roof right there. Again, in the interest of interest. Okay, we're coming across here. I guess I should probably, while I'm at it, put some paint on here. Ish. And one stroke over here. As you can see, we're dropping our value. Maybe from the camera angle you can't see it, but it's definitely happening. Okay, maybe I don't have to worry too much about it. I have to reassess constantly if I'm going too too high in value too quickly. I think we're doing okay though. Yep. Thin lines. Don't like the thin lines. That ceiling of cloud, it begins to break up. and we get into more distant cloud, more ethereal shapes, more vague shapes as we come higher. So I don't mind broadening the strokes a little bit. Okay, time to stand up. The sitting down stuff doesn't always work. Let's put a few strokes with ultramarine blue on the painting. Sorry, I'm probably just sounding like mumbling to you because without a camera, I don't talk to myself at all. I just don't. I don't make noise. So even when the camera's on and I'm trying to remain conscious of talking, I often forget to speak clearly enough. Excuse me. No, too much ultramarine blue too early, too soon. And that's another thing I like about using linseed oil. You thin the paint off enough that it's kind of like you're washing in. It's so forgiving. You're not leaving big ridges behind. So changes are easy enough. You just paint over it. And I put enough paint on in the wash-in stage that I have no problems with allowing some of that wash-in to show through. It's just fine. I think I would like a bit of a body. I'm going to maintain this body of darker ultramarine blue with a hint of alizarin crimson up here. I might even raise it more. It might even come against the backside of this cloud. But we'll see. Another one of those things that I really don't have to worry about for the moment. I think I'm staying maybe a little too light, too high up. I don't like the value here, that's all too high and too green. As I mentioned, I wanted these colors down below, and that's what I'm gonna sort of focus on. Try to keep focusing on that anyway. Okay, that ridge is pushed back a little bit. Needs more work, but it's developing, it's evolving, it's forming. So far, so good. I don't like the strength of this here. think I've whined before that I have some nasty back problems sometimes, so that's why I sit most of the time when I'm painting. But on something this large, it's so important to stand back as much as you can, and it's so beneficial to be able to put a few strokes on and then stand back and gauge what you just did. So the benefits of standing up, I think that's kind of nice thing about plein air painting as well. Okay, that's what I do for the moment. Okay, it's a big sky. I'm not going to cover the whole thing today, but I thought I'd take you along for this area anyway. And let me just change the camera angle a moment. Flipping the screen. Always noisy when I'm flipping the screen. Okay. Some variety. Not too strong. Hopefully strong enough. But I don't want to compete with this foreground. Because that foreground, well, the middle ground and the foreground doesn't want competition. It wants to be strong. All right, talk to you soon. Oh, and have a good weekend.